Now we have seen what happens if fertilization takes place. Fertilization results in the formation of zygote, then morula, then blastula, and which ultimately is converted into embryo, and embryo develops into a young one. What happens if fertilization does not take place? That is another important question. If fertilization takes place, it results in the birth of an individual. But what happens if fertilization does not take place? There are certain differences in the physiology of male and female reproductive system. Egg production is a cyclic activity. Egg production in females is a cyclic activity. One egg is produced at a regular interval of 28 days. That is, one egg is produced in a month, whereas the sperm production is a continuous process. It begins after attaining puberty and continues throughout the life in a male individual. Whereas egg production in females, it is it has a limited span, that is egg production begins at puberty, that is at a age of 10 to 12 years, and it stops at the age of 45 to 50 years. Whereas sperm production is a continuous process. It continues in male from puberty till the whole life of individual, and at a time only one egg is produced, whereas there are millions of sperms which are produced at the same time. In females, there are separate openings for the reproductive system and the excretory system, whereas in males, the reproductive and excretory systems, they have the common opening. These are the differences. Now, what happens if fertilization does not take place? Egg production in females is a cyclic activity that take place at a regular interval of 28 days in a normal healthy female. Uterus prepares itself every month for fertilization. That sperms will reach uterus, it will prepare itself for fertilization. So, what sort of preparation is done? The thickness of the wall of uterus, it increases. Thickness in the wall of uterus, it increases. Now the embryo will develop here. What is required by this developing embryo? It will require oxygen, it will require food, and it would need to get rid of waste. इसमें से waste तो कैसे ये सारा ट्रांसफर होगा? तो that is done through the blood. So the blood vessels in the wall of uterus, they elongate and they get coiled. Their length of the blood vessels, it also increases. And the uterus wall, which has several glands, these glands, they secrete a sort of nutritive fluid into the cavity of uterus. So what is the preparation done by uterus? That fertilization will take place, zygote will be formed, and blastula will reach the uterus. And for implantation क्या चाहिए, क्या preparation की जाती है? The thickness of wall of uterus increases, the blood vessels in the uterus, they get elongated and coiled, and wall of the uterus, it secretes a nutritive fluid in the cavity of uterus, and egg is also released by the ovary. If fertilization does not take place, all this preparation goes waste and it is slugged off. Slugged off, अपने आप ये सारा जो है ये टूट जाता है, these walls, it is slugged off and it comes out through the vaginal opening in the form of blood flow, and that process is called menstrual cycle, and the flow is called menstrual flow. So what happens if fertilization does not take place? या दूसरा क्वेश्चन है व्हाट इज मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल, दोनों में सेम आंसर आएगा. So this is also important. If it means if fertilization does not take place, all the preparation done by uterus is slugged off and it comes through vagina in the form of blood flow. So this cyclic event taking place in the female reproductive system at a regular interval of 28 days is known as menstrual cycle. Initiation of menstrual cycle, that is the first menstrual cycle in females, that is called menarche. And the stoppage of menstrual cycle, that is the last menstrual cycle in females, that is called